What's going on, y'all? I want to welcome you back to the Raw Report. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about strategy. You may be tired. You might be feeling stressed. You out here grinding, doing everything you possibly can do, but you ain't got nothing to show for it. And it ain't because you're lazy. You might be one of the hardest people you know. But what's happening is you keep running, but ain't no finish line to run to. You ain't made a plan for that. You're basically not building anything. You just moving. And that's what we're gonna talk about today. We're gonna basically talk about how motion without aim is the most dangerous form of potential there is, because you got motion, but what are you aiming at? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish? And like I said earlier, it's not that you're not lazy. That's not the problem at all. You got the energy, you got the desire. You can do everything it takes, but because you're just doing the motion, you're not even focused on the end goal. You basically have a bunch of motion with no aim. So you don't have a target. And without a target, you're just basically getting to a point where you're moving, but at some point you might end up off track because you don't even know what your target is. You're doing a lot of different things, but what does done look like? Let's ask that question. What does done look like to whatever you're working on? What does it actually look like? So, yeah, you're permanently busy, but at the end of the day, you're permanently stuck because you're unfinished. But when you're moving in your speed, it feels productive. But you're actually avoiding clarity, because when you find the clarity will force you to stop or to give up what doesn't matter. You'll have to leave that alone because you're clear on what you're trying to accomplish. And I'm not just singling nobody out, because we all done been there at one time or another, but it needs to be discussed. So ask yourself, what are you building? What are you busy with? Or are you really actually building? Because a lot of us are busy, but we're not building anything. We busy, we doing this and that until something else come along, then we'll jump to do that. If you can't answer either one of these questions, you're really not building anything. You're just busy. And you're busy without direction. And eventually you'll get exhausted because you don't really actually know what your target is. If you really think about it, every week, every month, it becomes a fresh start. You're starting over because you're not on a straight line. When you don't choose a target, everything feels like it counts. Everything. Like it's counting toward what you're doing, and it's really not. And that's how we end up spending most of our whole life. And man, I almost did this, or I could have got there, but I didn't. Where's the discipline? But it's hard to have discipline when you don't have a end goal. And think about it. The new year just passed. Everybody thought they said they was gonna hit the gym. It's February. Ain't nobody in the gym no more. Got that side hustle that you started. You ain't doing that no more. It's getting ready to be March. You getting ready to open that one business. By April, it'll be something totally different. That's 4 things in 4 months. That's because you don't have what are you aiming at? And a lot of people would like to say they're just figuring their things out. That's not pivoting. That's spinning in circles. Because pivoting is a difference, because when you're pivoting, you're just changing direction, but you're still trying to end up at the same goal. When you're spinning, you're changing things, but you're not. All of those different things have a different goal. And you got to get to a point where you stop making all these fast decisions, these emotional decisions, and only move toward whatever your end goal is. I forgot the book that I read it out of. I want to say it's The Gap in the Game. Does this help your boat go faster? Because if it don't help your boat go faster, you need to get rid of it. Because basically, you're filling your days with a lot of busy work, but your direction is empty. Because you're in a hurry, and you being in a hurry becomes your excuse for being undisciplined. And we think that rushing is the same thing as working hard. And it's really not the same thing at all. It's just really a lot of busy work. Because think about it. You're the guy that's always slammed. You're always in a rush. You always got somewhere to be. But at the end of the month, what did you accomplish? What can you look back on and be like, yeah, I did that month? That's where, like I said, we got to get over this busy work. And you feel like the answer that you'll probably tell, man, I did a lot of stuff. What though? And really all you're doing is avoiding, because you're going to say I did a lot of stuff. But what stuff can you actually hold your hat on? What stuff can you show some other people that you did? And really, that's a real telltale sign that you got energy. You just ain't got no order. You got the desire to do it, but you ain't got no plan. Like I said, we need a strategy. That's what this whole thing is about. It's about strategy. You talk about doing it, but what's the path? Have you sat down and created that strategy, that path, whatever it is? And if you ask most young men out here right now, what are you stressing on? They can talk to you for about 20, 30 minutes. They give you all this stuff. Man, this going on. I ain't got this, and that. All right. Then you turn around and ask them, what's your plan? They don't have a plan. We in a rush to do nothing because we won't sit still and get our plan together. And that's what I'm attempting to attack for y'all to understand. It's okay to sit down. It might take a day, it might take 2 days, it might take a week, but put that plan together. And y'all already know I'm gonna give y'all some scriptures, because every time God produces real results, it's in the scripture. He starts with order, not speed. You need order to do what you're trying to do. So 1 Corinthians 9:26. I therefore so run, not as uncertainly, so fight I, not as one that beateth the air. Basically, Paul said, I don't run without knowing where I'm going. I don't fight by swinging at nothing. Unaimed effort is basically spiritual shadow boxing. You're tired, you're loud, you look like you're working, but you're hitting air. You're fighting air. Nothing is landing because you're not aimed at nothing. And that's deep. You got to think about it. Proverbs 21:5. The thoughts of the diligent lead only to plenteousness. But everyone that is hasty only to want. What does that tell you? The hasty man is the one who's always rushing, ends up with nothing. Haste produces lack. Being in a rush, you don't get what you're trying to do. You spill double the energy for half the outcome. That don't make no sense, y'all. Luke 14:28. For which of you intending to build a tower sitteth not down first and counteth the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it? Basically, what Jesus is saying is, before you build anything, sit down and count the cost. Figure out if you can finish it. Most of us, I don't want to say y'all, most of us, we skip that step entirely. We get excited about what the thought is, whatever the assignment is, and we don't plan and try to figure out if we can finish it. That's why we end up crashing out. But when you start building for real, you start to plan out what type of money you got. Like I said, you focus on the end. Exodus 18 and 21. Moreover, thou shalt provide out of all the people able men, such as fear God, men of truth, hating covetousness, and place such over them, to be rulers of thousands and rulers of hundreds, rulers of fifties and rulers of 10. So basically what that's saying is, when Moses was burning out trying to do everything himself, God didn't say work harder. He said organize, build structure, delegate, but you got to create order. God builds progress through structure, not through one person's non-stop motion. He don't work that way. So if God values structure that much, why don't you? We got to come up with a strategy, y'all. Hosea 4 and 6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge. I will also reject thee. God didn't say his people was destroyed for lack of effort. He said for lack of knowledge. You can work yourself as hard as you want to and still ain't getting nothing. But when you reject understanding, you basically accepting that there's going to be consequences, and more than likely, whatever it is go collapse. So the pattern that I gave you through all them scriptures is consistent. When God is producing real outcomes, he's producing order. He basically giving you a target. And counting up the cost. That's a strategy. But when, like I said, when people start rejecting understanding the structure, they basically don't make no moves. Nothing that never happens. They just stay all talk. Because you're not even planning. You don't even have a real plan. There's a reason why when you go in the banks looking for money, they're looking for a business plan. Because they want to see what your strategy is. So, like I said, let's talk about our own. Let's hold ourselves up to the mirror to see what it is, why we don't have no strategy. Like I said, we keep quoting God's timing while ignoring God's patterns. We can't do that. You keep saying, I'm trusting God to figure it out. But what you really mean is, I don't want to commit to a target that can expose my inconsistency. So your vagueness ends up being your protection, because you don't want to be held accountable. At the end of the day, that's what that is. And a lot of us, we want to over spiritualize, waiting on confirmation. Well, he already gave you confirmation. What's the plan? And it's not a lack of motivation. I told you, you're not lazy. You do the work. You'll go to work and do work for somebody else and give them all your energy, but you won't work on your own thing. That don't make no sense to me. Them days should be over. You wake up and you check your phone before you even check your assignment, what you're supposed to be doing for today. And with this algorithm, your day basically starts with reactions to other people's stuff, not your own stuff. You can tell me everything that's going on in the world before 9 a.m., but what's on your agenda for your plans? You got it, man. It's sad to say that this world is basically teaching us how to be distracted. I don't want to say teaching us. It's what is the word? It's making us more and more distracted every day. We collect all this information like it's obedience. We listening to podcasts, we checking out YouTube, we got all this information. We got basically 50 reels about discipline, and you still can't wake up on time. Like, what we doing? What are we doing? Is it that we can't check ourselves? I know we all need help, but at some point we got to discipline ourselves to something. We can't keep switching plans every time you feel a certain way, or a new shiny object come in front of you. We can't keep switching up. We got to stay on the same plan. That's why we need an end goal. We need a target. And me personally, I would say, don't make your target money. Because if you make your target money, that goalpost keep moving every single couple years. Whenever they don't want you to be where they at, they keep moving. So make your target something tangible that you can actually reach. And I'm not saying you can't reach the money goal. I'm just saying it's a sad thing to put all your goals after money or whatever you're trying to produce. You keep telling people you grinding, but your grind ain't got no scoreboard. You ain't got no metrics, no finish line, but you grinding. What are you grinding towards? I'm gonna keep asking that question. What are you grinding towards? If you can't tell me whether this week you'll be here or last week you made it past here, what are you grinding towards? Because basically you're just busy. Over time, you become someone who is always starting and basically never finishing anything. I used to be that person, I promise you. But that's why I'm on here telling y'all, you got to find something to stay in that lane. And I would tell you honestly, find something that you like to do, not what somebody else like to do. I heard my last message when I'm talking about comparison. Stay in your lane. Something that you like to do that it don't matter if other people like it. You like it. Chase that thing down, because the confidence that you have in doing that thing that you like will just grow and grow. And at some point, it has no choice but to be success. But when you start trying to be in another lane and doing something that other people like and it's not your thing, eventually you're going to get exhausted and you will burn out from that thing, because we all end up abandoning things that's not our true purpose. That's just a fact. It looks good, but it's not what you're supposed to be doing. And what's crazy is all of our relationships and everything, they end up taking the grunt of whatever it is that we say we doing, because we end up with the late promises. Our mood be shifting. We be so inconsistent. We always in a rush. And the people who love us, they see what we doing when they see us grinding. But like I said, they don't know that you don't even have an end goal. You just grinding towards what? Like I said, I need y'all to figure that out. What are you grinding towards? When your life has no structure, conviction becomes background noise, because there's never a plan for obedience to land on. You keep hearing or you keep chasing whatever you say that you're chasing, but it doesn't translate, because where is the, I guess, like I said, the metrics of saying I'm going to get here, and when I get here, that's this. And basically we end up staying stuck. We stay stuck in movement and motion. But like I said, without an aim, you might have actually then already passed what you was chasing, but you don't know, because you don't know what you're aiming at. Your peace gets replaced by adrenaline, basically is what I'm trying to tell you. You don't feel alive, or you don't feel accomplished, because you're rushing distracts you from ever really truly getting whatever it is you're chasing. So I'm gonna ask again, what are you actually building? So I asked that. So basically my point is, you don't need no more speed this week. You don't need another app. You don't need another planner. You don't need another nothing. You need a target. You need something that forces you to get rid of the whole almost. It forces you to focus on what needs to be done, and everything else is distraction. That aim is going to create an order and exposes everything that you're wasting in your life. That's basically what is going to happen. And I'll leave y'all with another scripture. Proverbs 4:25-27. Let thine eyes look right on, and let thine eyelids look straight before thee. Ponder the path of thy feet, and let all thy ways be established. Turn not to the right hand nor the left. Remove thy feet from evil. So basically what they're saying is focus on what you're trying to do. But you got to have an end goal so you can focus straight ahead without turning right or left or what somebody else doing. So now you have a real target. You're aiming at what you're supposed to do. You're not scattered. You're basically steady, directed, and you established. So for the next 7 days, what I want y'all to do is write one measurable outcome you're building. What are you building? I'm going to keep asking the question. Then each night record what your actions are. Move forward. Did you move forward or did you not? We ain't taking no new goals. We ain't doing no extra projects. We might even have to go tell some people, nah, I ain't going to be able to do that because I got to work on what I'm working on. And like I said, write down that thing. Not 5, write down one thing. You don't need no vision board. You need one measurable outcome that you can cross that off your list so you can start to see how getting a target and aiming for that target creates results. And the only question is, did you move forward today or not? That's all it is. And what I want y'all to do is have a 15-minute conversation every day with yourself. Did you make things happen or did you not? And I will tell y'all already know I'm going to say read a verse, Bible scripture, something to give you some motivation. But a lot of y'all don't see it as motivation, but it is. And before you go to bed at night, like I said, did my actions, like I told you about the boat. What I did today, did my actions make the boat go faster? If not, you need to reevaluate that thing. And like I told you, no new goals. Whatever it is, make a target for whatever you're already doing and stick to that. We ain't taking on no new goals. That's the hard thing right there. I don't care what nobody else come up and say. We not taking on nothing new. We go stay consistent with what we're doing until we see that thing to fruition. And one of the biggest things that I think that's affecting a lot of y'all is y'all phones. When you first wake up in the morning, don't touch your phone for 30 minutes. Start figuring out what you go accomplish on your assignment for the day before you even touch your phone. So you can already have your plan together before you actually see what else is going on in the world. So that's my message for y'all today, but I want to leave y'all with this one. You are not behind because you're not slow. You got grind. You got a ton of motion. You just need a target. You're basically behind because you're moving fast, but you don't know exactly what you're moving fast to. God didn't give you energy so you can waste it on motion. He gave you energy so you can aim at the purpose that he gave you. So this week, stop moving and start building. Stop moving and start building. Whatever that thing is, start building. One brick on top of another. And like I said, it don't happen overnight. But once you stay consistent with it, it starts to compound. And if you do that, like I said, start for 7 days, you'll start to accomplish more things because that 7 days will turn into 7 months. And after 7 months, you'll start to see more. And then you'll be like, okay, if I do this every day for 7 years, you'll get exactly what you need. And you'll be able to come up and take a breath and be like, yeah, I did that. So y'all already know what I like to say, man. Come join the community. Free community. We in here talking and helping each other build. Stay real, stay raw, stay grounded in your faith, and walk boldly in your purpose. Till the next time, y'all. I'm out.